Man, another flawless entry there. I'm CT, he is Dodd. Good morning, welcome to Morning Java.
Good morning, buddy.
Enjoying this lovely springish type
I'll tell
weather.
you what, the last couple nights have been absolutely fantastic. This whole, it being July and not being 90 degrees still at midnight is fantastic. Definitely a fan.
I'm enjoying it thoroughly, so there you have it.
I know it was pretty last night. I sat out on the back porch, drank coffee at midnight. It was beautiful.
The sun hadn't even gone down, and I was sitting on the porch. It was nice. Last 2 evenings have been
way better.
I don't even know how to explain it. I'm just in awe.
For July, this is fantastic. No doubt. How's your week been, man?
Uneventful, and by uneventful, I mean nothing bad, nothing extraordinarily good. It was a week.
Yeah.
So no news is good news, I suppose.
I would go with yes. That seems to be about the best.
How about you? Things at the shop good?
Yeah, the shop was fine this week. Had, people coming trying to find random stuff. Still kind of slow with it being summertime. People still being home, but a lot of people are out bow fishing and doing that kind of stuff right now. But other than that, it was a fine week.
Black Flag kind of fills the niche that was missing here in Lincoln County of, so I can go to this store or that store and buy a Ruger or whatever. You know what I mean? Black Flag is more along the lines of, I'm looking for a specific item.
Oh, you want something weird?
Right. So,
I got you.
Yeah. So not only does Black Flag, carry and build and sell, name brand stuff or, whatever's most popular at the time, but also it fills that niche of the stuff you're looking for. If it's not there, they'll find it for you. So it's pretty interesting.
Yes. I actually found a Hakim rifle for a guy a couple weeks ago. He was looking for one pretty hardcore, those are weird rifles in and of themselves. They're a semi-automatic 8mm. Crazy gun, but they're really hard to find. Not a lot of them ever really came into the U.S. But they come out of the Egypt, that area, the Egyptian Hakim.
Okay.
And sure enough, it didn't take long. We found him one. I mean, they're not cheap, but he wanted one. I'm like, yeah, I'll find you one. It took me like 2 weeks. Sure, I found him one, and it was fantastic.
Okay.
So if you want something weird, come by and see me, 203 Main Street. We'll be there today at about 11 o'clock. You can come down, come hang out, drink coffee, play with guns. Look
new donuts next door to enjoy with your coffee.
Yeah. Now
a new kolache, too. Have you tried that one? The spinach artichoke?
I haven't tried it, but it looks fantastic.
Now, these are different kolaches than before,
Yes.
too. If you look at these are not just some ball of dough with stuff stuffed inside.
Yeah.
These are nice.
These are very
caved
nice
in,
looking.
kind of filled. It looks delicious.
And their donuts are now coming from Old Town Donuts, if you're familiar with that.
Old Town.
Yeah, they are fantastic donuts.
Where's Old Town?
It's down at like K and 40. And there's one in Florissant as well that started way back in the day.
K and 40. Okay, that's not far. Nice. I'm glad because I was really missing the donuts.
Yeah, well, coffee, donuts, those kind of things, they all sort of go together.
I like my apple fritters.
I love apple fritters too.
Yeah, it's kind of a weakness. Those and honey buns, but you're not going to get those from the bakery. But by golly, Casey's has got them. Go well with my coffee in the mornings, that's for sure. Last week on the show, Joel Fan was with us, candidate for Lincoln County Sheriff. And if you've been watching, you've been on the channel, you've seen that we did several interviews with all the with both candidates and the incumbent who is running again. So this week on the show, Bill Womack is joining us, and we'll get him on here in just a minute and speak with him for a little while. If you've got any questions for him, feel free to I'm not on the email. I will get on the email, though. You can either email him to info@travelingineast.com, travelingeastproductions.com, or go ahead and message our Facebook page. That's fine, too. or write them in the chat, because this show is actually going across our Traveling East Productions Rumble channel. You can find us on Rumble. It's free, so go over there, download it, watch it online, whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. There's even an app for the smart TVs and all that for Rumble, so you can do that as well. So now you can see us on the big TV.
The way we can take up your entire living room wall.
Because, I know you enjoy it because we have the best facial hair in the business. You got the tombstone handlebar across the room there, and I don't know if I'm. And then you got the Celtic one over here, so it is what it is. Also, we're broadcasting live again on a rehashed, rebuilt, rebranded rebirth of our YouTube channel. So you can go find us on YouTube, Traveling East Productions.
Oh yes! Now that we've come back to YouTube.
We've come back to YouTube.
So politely banned us for so long.
Yeah, they were wonderful. Also, as always, our Facebook feed, which seems to be very popular as well. Some people like to watch it on Facebook. Some people want to pop it on the TV screen. Some people want to just listen. However you want to do it, I don't care. As well as afterwards, these shows are loaded up in podcast form for all of your Spotify, Apple, whatever that you care to listen to your stuff on. So you can find Traveling East, follow us, and there you have that. Coming up in very, very soon, August, the primaries. And we will again be doing our live election coverage.
Yes, we will.
This year, again, as in the past, we will be simulcasted over to our broadcasting family member over there, KYRO, 1280 AM, 105.3 FM. That will be on the air there. Something a little different this year. Since we're neighbors, we now have audio and video going back and forth from their studio to ours, to their new Gateway Fibers studio over there. And joining us on election night from KYRO studio via video and audio will be John Shepard. So we'll be bouncing back and forth, having a good time, and talking about the election stuff as it goes on. A couple of things on there to look out for, of course, is the sheriff's race. You have two candidates, Joel Fan and Bill Womack, trying to get the nomination against the incumbent, so Rick Harrell. So that's going to be an interesting one.
There's actually a lot on this August ballot, which is coming up, that a lot of people skip the August. Well, the August is kind of important because you've got your Secretary of State, you've got your governor, you have a lot of key places and key people that are running for positions. So it's one of those things that if you're tired of the same old same, you don't feel like your representative represents you, this is the time when you get to change them out. But if you don't go vote, you can't go change them out. So go vote.
That is true. There is a tax initiative on there, a couple of them that we will talk about.
We will.
One of them being Old Monroe Fire District. Is wanting to buy some land, build a building, buy some new equipment, the whole bit. And we'll talk more about that as the show goes on. I just want to get all this stuff out of the way before we sit down and speak with Bill. Real quick also, a big thank you to those who make these shows possible on our network. Safe Harbor Insurance in Winfield. World League Wrestling, the house that Harley Race built, who will have their next live event on, it'll be August 10th. We'll be at the Harley Race Wrestling Arena in Troy, and we will be, and of course that's being filmed for TV, as always. So there's that. Original Crow Feather Crystal Healing Jewelry. I always get those words mixed. Healing Crystal Jewelry. Of course, Elliott Flooring in Troy, who's been with us a very, very long time, one of our oldest friends here and supporters. He likes for me to tell people that he doesn't necessarily agree with everything that we have to say, but he supports our right to say it. So that's why he He does that. Great
Ken's
people.
a fun guy.
Great people over there. Go give Ken a call. Go by and see him. Him and his crew. They're the ones in the area that are really going to help you out with your flooring, your countertop needs, all of that. It's family owned, veteran owned, locally owned, and just absolutely some of the greatest people you're ever going to work with. Fantastic installation crews, very professional people over there. We love Ken to death. So go by, take him a candle. Tell him, here's a candle to drink.
Yeah,
the boys at Morning Java send
He
it to you.
really likes that. Makes
he
him
likes
happy.
that.
He loves to drink hot candles.
Don't take your coffee because he will kick it over.
Without a doubt.
He likes to kick coffee and drink candles. That's his thing. So, Black Flag Outfitters in Winfield for all of your bow hunting, fishing, bow fishing, defense needs. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Your friendly neighborhood arms dealer. No, just kidding.
That's about accurate.
And then Blue Line Lawn Care, who's been taking care of my lawn for the last few years, and I have not once had a single problem whatsoever. Give them a call. Get a free quote. What can it hurt, right? And then, of course, Pickle on the Run. How's that?
Exactly. That is perfect.
Good deal?
Good deal.
Did we cover them?
We covered everybody.
We can talk about them a little more later.
Yeah, we'll talk about them some more later. If you want to drop my camera, I'll set this up over here real quick.
That would be delightfully lovely. And I will talk about a couple of things while you do that.
Cool.
1 second here. 1 second here. Boom. And you're gone. See, just like that. What was I going to say? Oh, I want to thank some people who have already started sponsoring for the August primary live coverage. Of course, as always, Elliott Flooring has sponsored that event. Country State of Mind Designs in Troy have they're on board as a sponsor to make sure you get the information you need. We should be joined by several more as the days go by. Of course, always alongside us is Black Flag Outfitters, Pickle on the Run. Blue Line Lawn Care is with us, as well as Safe Harbor Insurance. And we're very glad to have all of them aboard as usual. If you want to be a sponsor, this is a great opportunity for you to get on board. It's a great opportunity for your business to get out there, because this is not just on our platforms, but this is also going across the air on 1280 AM, KYRO 105.3 FM. And we're going to be reaching a lot of households on that evening. So to advertise, it's very inexpensive. All you have to do is send me a message on our Facebook page or email me info@travelingeastproductions.com. I think I covered it. Did I get it?
You got it.
I got it. Okay. That being said, welcome to the show. Bill Womack, candidate for Lincoln County Sheriff. No, I guess it would be you'd be the sheriff if you won this, because there's no Democrat running, is there? It's just all.
That's correct.
So get that mic in there closer to you so we can hear you.
All right.
All right.
So first off, I guess welcome, of course, but I don't know what I'm waiting is some stuff comes in, and we'll let the people ask some questions. Make sure all those come in. I'm getting into the email right now. Dodd, I don't know if you have anything that you'd like to kick off with, or start with.
So you did just the facts with CT already, right?
Yes, sir.
So most people have watched that and they've gone through. They have a good idea who you are. You're from the area. Mm-hmm. What in your perfect dream world, right? How do you make the sheriff's department fantastic? Just like a short version.
I think it starts with leadership. I think you have to be engaged with your troops, as we call it. Come from the military. You have to empower your people. You have to understand your people. You have to understand your community, who you're supporting. And so I think there's been a disconnect with with our community policing. I think, as of late, I'm seeing a lot more engagement than I think we've all seen in the past. But I think we need to continue that engagement with the community. I think that's where you build you build your team, and it's not just a team of law enforcement; it's Team Lincoln County, and I think we got to be more engaged with our community, our municipalities, because I think they're kind of left on the outside, and I think our county needs to support that. We all need to be force multiplier for one another.
Fair enough. So I will ask you the question that we got it as a question last week, and I threw it to Joel, so I'll go ahead and throw it to you. Do you think it's important that you try as best you can to see if you can try to get deputies from the county area, so you don't fall into the issue where it just becomes a place? Now, I know it's that thing where you live far away, you go to this place to do your work. It's not home. Right. It's no different than being dropped anywhere else in the world to go do a task. It's just some place to you. It's not home. Do you think that's important?
Well, definitely. I mean, that's why I'm back, right? So,
right.
I could have lived anywhere in the world, but I decided to come back home to Lincoln County. So, if anything, you should question my judgment on that piece. But yeah, I think law enforcement in itself, we do it for a reason. We don't do it for a paycheck. We do it because we enjoy the work. And from a sheriff's vantage point, I would love to have a group of deputies that's been there forever. I want that to be a career for them. I want it to be a longevity, concept. We need to focus more on professional development, whether we incorporate, different deputies in specialty realms. But yes, we need to. It shouldn't be just a training platform to go across the street and work for Troy PD or go down the road to work for St. Charles. They should come to Lincoln County and want to stay there. So we need to do a better job incentivizing that, and whether that be a higher salary, better benefits, insurance too, but a retirement plan, a combination. And it goes back to leadership, though. I think we have to be more engaged with our community. We have to be more engaged with our deputies.
One of the things that's very important, and I'll bring it up because you mentioned it in your what you just said, was you mentioned incentives, higher pay, benefits packages, things like that. How do we pay for that whenever the sheriff's department says that it doesn't have money now and wants more?
It's going to have to be a collective or a collaborative effort between the sheriff's office and the county government. We're going to have to work together and identify revenue streams. We have to be creative on where we get that money. We can't base our budgets on projected revenues. As we've seen in the past, we've fallen short. We have to look at ways that we can bring money in, and whether that's enhancing our jail so we can bring in more federal prisoners. But again, you can't really rely on that either, because you don't know how long that government trough's going to be there. But you ought to think outside the box a little bit. We have to put our deputies in some of our task force TFO positions. I think that generates some revenue, but again, you can't rely on that all the time. But you also have to work with the county government and figure out what your end all is. What is your cost to provide safe and secure environment for the county, and you have to work with them to figure out how you're going to pay your people. You don't want to be overstretched every year. We cannot continue to pay $600,000 out of general revenue funds just to keep us in the black. And we've been doing that for the last 3 years consecutively. Fortunately, in the last administration, Cottle had some money saved up into some of the, I call it asset forfeiture, but equitable sharing. And so we've tapped into that, or they have tapped into that, and they basically depleted that fund. They also tapped into the loggers, the retirement portion. They've bled that account out as well. So it's going to be a long road trying to figure out what we can do to pay for our law enforcement component.
Well, that was going to be my next question. You say you got to come up with new ways and really do some work, and think outside the box. What?
I know some people don't. They like the concept of Troy or Lincoln County being a small town mid-America, and I get it. And I mean, that's one of the reasons we came home. But we're growing whether we know it or where we want to or not. And so we continue to get more housetops here. We're gonna have to be more forward-leaning on revenue or tax basis, whether that be a commercial building, some sort of a Lowe's, Home Depot, some kind of a structure that's trying to provide some income into the community. to give us a tax base, I think. I mean, unless we come up with some other extra taxes, and nobody wants extra taxes. So we either have to bring in revenue, a tax base so we can get revenue from, or we're going to have to do something else.
Well, you bring up tax bases, and I appreciate the fact that you said nobody wants that, because you're right. And it's not just that nobody wants it, they can't afford it.
Correct.
So where do you stand on Prop P? That coming back at some point.
Well, I think if we socialize that amongst the communities and show the benefits and the pros and cons to it, I think we ought to let our county determine that. I think they determined it last time, but I don't know if we actually sold it as well as other communities have. I don't know a lot about the Prop P. I know that people that have where it's excelled or had success, the departments are showing are benefiting from it. I don't know how what that tax looked like. I'm not really familiar with it as well, but
Well, all that's really important on it is that it's a tax.
right. No, I get that.
And reasonably, so, one of the things that we talk about a lot of times when we have different people and different ways to fund different things is if your business increases, your number of businesses, your number of rooftops, etc., then by default, your overall tax base increases.
Yep.
So it would seem is obviously Troy has got some stuff going on with its expansions of bridges, et cetera, the overpass. It's a matter of time before you end up getting a couple of the big box stores in
Yep.
Troy. And let's be honest, the sales tax revenue off of a Lowe's could fund a sheriff's department without
sure.
a
Oh,
big
gosh, yes.
right, without any real big issue.
Without taking any more out of the
Right.
citizen's
Right.
pocket.
And I think it's one of those that, people have a lot of what we talk about is different economic aspects of everything. I mean, and it does play a role when you talk to people and you ask them, hey, what issues are actually important? The number one thing that you're going to hear, I hear it all the time, which is, I don't have any money. Okay, I can appreciate that line of thinking. When we're looking at some pretty outrageous inflation rates on different items, the audacity to even consider throwing a tax, obviously not you, that's not, just in general in the August term,
Right.
or in throwing a tax when economic times are terrible,
Yep.
actually shows that you have absolute disregard for the people of your district. And that's very much how I felt about Prop P when it came out this way. I'm not saying it's not okay to put one on and see what the people say.
Right.
But at the same time, don't do it when people are actually broke, legitimately having a hard time making payments on things because of the inflation rates and things like
Yeah.
that. And I think that's important to look at. If you're going to do something, it's okay to throw it out and see. I'm obviously an anti-tax person,
Sure.
but I can understand the concept behind it. But don't do it when people are really having a bad
I get
time
you.
with stuff, because to be honest, that just makes you look terrible.
I understand that completely, and I agree with that. I think the key thing to do is just bring in a commercial business of some sort.
Bring a Lowe's,
Yeah,
you're
bring
good.
something, right? I mean, we have enough Mexican restaurants. We got enough, smoke shops. We ought to be bringing in something that would generate some revenue. And
Yes, something.
I'm not about taxes. Hell, I pay enough already myself. I have 4 kids.
Nobody wants to pay any more
Right.
tax.
But what I'm getting at is we need to collectively have some dialogue on what that looks like. And we, as a sheriff, we need to be able to go to the county government and say, if you want us to provide security for 640 square miles, I have 65 troops here to do that. We have this much for vehicles. We have this much for salaries. We can't deplete that. We can't pay for our services.
I need you guys to get to talking to Lowe's.
Right.
Right,
Something.
right.
Something.
Hey, don't we have a woman who's in charge of that type of thing?
Oh, you mean Julie Rogers?
Yeah. Isn't
exactly.
she? Yeah, get on that, Julie.
I haven't met Julie yet.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
No, you'll love her.
She's cool.
So a couple of questions have come in.
Sure.
Great Kate wants to know who was paying for your signs.
Who is paying our fund, or the Bill Wong for Sheriff campaign?
Okay. Who's the treasurer, by the way?
Mark Cheney.
I don't know who that is. Okay. Good question. I don't.
Questions are fun.
Oh, something this way, and they're asking about this. I wasn't going to bring this up, but there was something that went across social media in the last week. That I found entertaining, but, you know, and I saw you respond to it and everything, but it was the whole Chihuahua thing at Chihuahuas.
Oh yeah, that was
Somebody was asking what happened.
Well, I think I told you.
Mike in Foley.
I think I told you the last time we met. I don't think politics should be part of law enforcement, and definitely dirty politics should not be part of anything. So what happened in Chihuahuas was that my former brother-in-law called 911 and told them that I was drunk and belligerent and causing issues.
Leah's husband?
ex-husband.
Ex-husband?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And so, to be transparent, when I got told that I was this way, I asked them to investigate it. And so they did. And so I got a copy of the call in, and clear enough, it was him, who was probably drunk himself, but who knows? But it turned out to be nothing. I mean, I did go there. It was after the parade. We walked in the parade, and so I went there with my my family of four, I think, and then my parents were there. We had dinner, and I left. But of course, when he called, I was already home in bed. But,
How dare you get drunk and belligerent at a Mexican food restaurant
Well-
with your parents, fella?
That's actually what I
wrong
was
with
just
you?
thinking.
and it was a work night, so I had to
It was a
work
work
the next
night.
day too.
Yeah,
So
on a work night
I
even.
know.
Jeez, you animal.
Gotta love Lincoln County.
You're s-
Party animal, bro.
he's
Tell
a-
you, back in the day, maybe, but
Bill Womack is a warrior. He not only gets drunk and belligerent at
That's right.
at Mexican food restaurants, he gets drunk and belligerent at Mexican food restaurants with his parents.
That's right.
Why?
During family
Well,
dinner.
yeah.
Because
Oh,
his
yes.
parents are rock stars.
that's right. That's
All
right.
right, whatever.
Builds character.
So nothing happened, basically.
Nothing happened.
That's
No.
hilarious.
All right.
Yeah, it's one of the
But-
perks of whatever.
And it was traced back to Leah's ex-husband.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Well, the best part was just the people in the comments, and that's what, again, I go back to this whole the dirty politics piece. These keyboard warriors out there love to expel whatever they want to expel, and they get the freedom because guys like me go out there and
It's
serve our country, and it's saddening to say that they have that much fire in their systems to. Most of those people don't even know who I am, so.
I find it entertaining how many of them go under the name Anonymous.
Anonymous, yeah.
Lame. If you're gonna make up some crap, at least use your real name.
Right.
I mean,
It's
own it.
spineless. That's what it is, but that's all right. They have the right, I guess.
Yeah, Mike said thank you for addressing it. So there you have it. Let me check. There.
Very nice.
If you have questions for Bill, feel free to type them in or email them or message them. So, yeah. Dodd, anything?
So one of the things that we've talked about a couple times is, so the sheriff's department has this kind of thing where they don't really enjoy going and backing munis, but munis tend to always have to go and cover calls for the sheriff's department. It's a real thing.
Yep.
Can you deal with that?
Yeah, I think
make
a lot
that
of-
relationship
I
better.
think that it has to be better. I mean, coming from law enforcement, again, 30 years, military and law enforcement, it's all about teamwork. And it sounds juvenile, but it again saddens me. I don't understand how a county this size, when we're stretched pretty thin already, we cannot work together better than we have in the past. The way I look at it, our county or municipalities are extensions of the county and vice versa. So if they need help, we help them. I think it goes back to the community policing, which I learned in college back in 1990s. You have to be engaged with the community. You have to have presence. And, having not been here, I don't know what our workload looks like from our deputies' perspective, but I would like to think we can push them out in different regions or sectors. They could be a force multiplier for that municipality. They can work together as a group. We can train together, play together, whatever you want to work, but we should all be part of the same unit, same team.
And that's definitely been one of the things that I've talked about. Obviously, with the line of work that I do, I talk to a ton of cops all the time, and that's cool.
I'm glad you brought that up because we have talked to a lot of, and I've spoken with other departments in the county, and I'm told by the sheriff that there's no problem, that everything's fine. It's a great working relationship with everybody, but then I talk to officers in other departments, and they say, no, most of us don't even want to call we don't even want county to come.
Well,
They don't
I've
want
been
nothing to
raised
do
and
with county.
taught you lead by example, and I think you have to be engaged. As a sheriff, I'm going to be out there in the streets with the guys. I'm going to be mucking it up with them. They're going to know who I am, what my expectations are, and we're going to have weekly, if not daily, interaction with these people. All of our guys are going to be in lockstep. We're not going to have this. There'll be a hierarchy, but it's going to be all for one for all type concept. There's not going to be a bunch of white shirts and the wannabes. It's just going to be all one team. And it sounds kind of juvenile, but to me, it needs to be that way. I mean, from a
But
law
the side
enforcement
is, if you don't lead
concept.
by example, then why would anybody else do it?
Right, well, exactly right.
Why would you
I mean,
guys do it? I mean,
again, that seems basic to me. I learned that in boot camp back in 1990, 93. So I don't know why that hasn't evolved into something a little bit more abrupt or more engaged.
I think it's, you hit it just briefly, but I think training together is super important. So I spent the last 18 years as a fire captain, and one of the things that is important, you've got your team that does its thing, but you're always going to work with somebody else. You need to know those other people you're going to work with, and that way you guys can move as one.
Right.
And that is what's important. And certainly from the sheriff's side, it's, come on, let's get some people that are
Yes.
actually good at their jobs.
Yep.
And let's get together and let's make this where we can all work together. But not just work together. We all actually know each other. It's
Right.
not...
Right, it shouldn't be all
Yeah.
work and no play, but you need to train like you fight, right?
Yes.
So you have to collaborate, you have to plan, you have to do a lot of different things, and you have to plan for the contingencies, right? So you don't always have the same people on duty every day. So you're going to have to bring in some of those municipalities, and you have to bring in, but again, I think it's pretty basic common sense stuff, and I don't understand why it's not being done.
Have you filed an MEC report?
Pardon me?
MEC report?
Yes.
You have?
They're fun.
Okay.
You talking about Missouri ethics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, somebody's saying that
I didn't.
you didn't.
Of course.
Greg
So-
Kate and wants to know. I mean,
So,
it just
yeah.
comes back to who's paying for stuff if there's
Yeah.
no MEC report.
It's in there. Tell them to look at it. It was due on, when the hell was it due? The 15th of July.
15th of July?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Look
that
a little
that
closer,
was
I
covered
guess.
through June 30th. And then there'll be another one at the end of July, the 28th, I think, 29th.
Okay.
8 days before the election is what it is.
All right. Very good. Well, they're hitting you. Oh, wow. Hey, look at that.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I have no clue what happened.
I have no idea.
That's funny.
His background went away.
Oh.
It was
That's
weird.
funny.
You Army?
No.
Oh, well. Go ahead, Dodd, while I fix this, I guess.
All right. Well, we'll keep on talking.
Okay.
And we'll have lots of fun. So, I think you've hit some pretty good points with doing that. As far as changing the reputation of the sheriff's department, because that's a big thing. Obviously in the community, the idea of the community policing structure is you want to get the community behind you, because let's be honest, if the community is with you, crime rates drop. Yep. We all remember that from once upon a time.
Yep.
How are you going to do it? really get that reputation where people go, hell yeah, it's the sheriff's department, not, oh crap, it's the sheriff's department?
Well, again, I think it starts with leadership. It starts with engagement with your people. Your people, your deputies, need to know what your expectations are, and you have to be in lockstep together when you go out to the communities and do that. And so I think it starts from within. You have to get everybody. You have to get your team on board, and then from that, we have to do a better job at selling ourselves. So we have to have a new sense of professionalism. I think we got to focus on our law enforcement ethics. But we just got to get out there and you got to roll up your sleeves and get dirty a little bit. I mean, I think from what I hear, I tell you I hate politics, but one of the positives of politics is it forces me to get outside my comfort zone a little bit and meet people. And when you do that, you'll hear that the only time I see a deputy or a sheriff is when something bad's happening. I think we have to be more forward leaning on that, and you got to be more proactive on some of our crime issues that we're having. Crimes against children is through the roof. There's a reason for that, and I think part of it is education, and there's part of it that we're not following up on our investigations, and I think that happens more times than not. And I think you see that across the board. You do see that in drugs as well. Mm-hmm. But the key from my end is that we change the legitimacy of our law enforcement. I think it's a national issue. I mean, there's law enforcement in of itself has a black eye, but I think we have to work internally initially to get that figured out. And part of it's training, but I think most of it is strictly leadership. The truth will be in the pudding. If I get elected, but I want you. If I get elected, you guys hold me accountable. I think that's what that needs to happen, and there needs to be more dialogue with the community. We got to figure out what's our issues are so we can address them. I don't want to every 4 years then find out, oh shit, we didn't do this. We got to be more
right.
engaged throughout, just like our statistics. You don't get statistics at the end of the year and say, oh, look how great we are. We did this, this, and this. You have nothing to compare, and I think most of us are busy enough. We're not going to be able to do data mining to figure out if he's right or not. You're going to see that from my end every week. You're going to see if we made rest, if we missed, we dropped the ball, we didn't drop the ball. We have an officer to do something stupid, it's going to be addressed. We're not going to have that swept under the rug and find out about it during election.
We talked about this last week with this same thing. A lot of times agencies, whatever they are, think that the best route is to make it disappear.
Right.
When in actuality, most people, if you say, hey, I really screwed up,
we
did this, if you own it, they'll at least respect you for it. They may not like what you did, but they'll go,
that's the way I was raised.
They owned it.
That's me in a nutshell, right? I 9 times out of 10, I'll own something I didn't do just to get it over with.
Here it is. Let's finish this.
That's right. It hurts a hell of a lot less.
One of the issues that is pretty dominant in Lincoln County. So you have the Highway 79 corridor with the side of Highway 61. These two heavy corridors move a crap load of narcotics, big time. You have two, and it's weird that there's these two things in Lincoln County that are pretty big. I was looking at some numbers, not recently released, the numbers we've seen on Facebook, it wasn't that, but it had to do with the amount of narcotics and human trafficking taking place in rural counties. This definitely qualifies as one of those weird rural counties. We've seen the last, 2 years, the O'Fallon area, where they found tons of random people from foreign countries being trafficked in St. Charles County. What do you think? Just a generalized.
No, it's bound to happen. So my previous life with the U.S. State Department, we did a lot of human trafficking stuff because I had access to all kinds of records overseas. So I know it's a component here, especially in rural Missouri. And assigned to St. Louis, we had a lot of trafficking going on in Branson area. They'd bring in workers to work in, I'd say sweatshops, but more of a housekeeping type of thing. But yeah, I think it goes back to our collaborative approach within our municipalities, but also with our neighboring counties. I think we need to be more engaged with our TFO positions, with our federal task force. There's all kinds of grants, resources access to mitigate some of those crimes. And I think more times than not, you see in these smaller departments, we put our blinders up, we look at only what's happening in our little, perimeter, and we don't appreciate what else is going on outside. And I think a lot of the times, I don't think a lot of our drug issues are happening internally. I mean, we're seeing that, but a lot of that stuff is being brought in from outside. And if you can't work with those people and nip that in the bud early, then we're going to get what we get.
One of the questions that came in is regarding the federal inmate program. They want to know if you will get rid of the federal inmates and stop taking the federal money.
I don't think so. I mean, I think at first, I think we talked about earlier about our budget. I think the way I look at it, the federal inmates is a source of revenue, so it'd be silly for me to cut that out unless we had some other revenue sources. If anything, I think we should enhance it. I think Connell did some pretty good stuff when he was in the sheriff's office. I'd like to look at some of the stuff that he did, try to emulate a little bit of that, or maybe enhance it, change it a little bit. But I think it makes a lot of sense if we already have that platform.
Would you bring back the inmate
Work
training program? Work program?
Definitely, for sure. Again,
You knew where I was going, man.
no, I think a component of law enforcement is not only getting bad guys off the street, but it's also redirecting them.
Yeah.
And so you got to look at the rehabilitation piece of it. You got to look at the recidivism piece. And go ahead.
When a guy goes to jail because he's selling drugs to put food on the table,
Right.
and he comes out of jail
Broke.
out of jail with the ability to make $30, $40, $50 an hour because he learned how to work machinery or whatever out at the union hall, already with a job, he's probably less likely to go back to dealing drugs, isn't he?
I agree with you 1,000%. I think it's silly that we have. I don't know why we pulled out of that, but
you know that whenever Rick Harrell was going for his when he first ran, he said in an interview, I have it on an old interview of Just the Facts, sitting in his living room, that he was not going to do anything with that program. And the very first thing he did when he got into office was eliminate that program.
what was the reason why?
Don't know.
Yeah, I think it's ludicrous, personally. I mean, I think it's a disservice for the community, period.
Well, and you have to look at it from a large portion of your crimes. It's money. Yeah. Like, that's what the basis of your crime. Not a lot of it is just people being evil people.
Right.
Yeah, there's a percentage, but a lot of it is they steal stuff, they sell drugs, etc., and maybe they just grew up broke, poor, and that's all they actually know. But then you can actually, and I'm not the go hug a thug, okay? That's not my thing. But if you can take a guy and teach him to operate equipment, he's going to have a much more fulfilling life than continuing in that same cycle and leading on, teaching his kids the exact same cycle.
Well,
that's how you break the cycle.
Exactly.
Right, and I think there's other components in there as well. I think there's some therapy. I mean, from people get involved with drugs and then they can't get out of it. So I think there's ways that we can bring in therapeutic pieces while they're in prison as well or in jail and address those issues as well.
Sure. Okay.
Yes. I think that would be something that would definitely be a positive influence.
But again, I think a lot of that we have to call it transparency, but I think those types of initiatives need to be broadcast to the community. I think the county needs to know the goods and the bads and the difference, and I think they should be able to buy in on some of that stuff and provide some value. I mean, I think maybe if they hear that, then maybe they will volunteer and help out, right? They can help out providing some of that training. I know Rankin was doing that when John was there, and I'm sure there's probably some therapists out there that could probably donate some time and provide some support infrastructure to
You've got that kind of thing. You've also got, things that you can throw out there for guys that are sitting there in jail that don't have a GED.
Right.
Let's get them some GED classes.
There's
plenty of people that would be happy to go help a dude get his freaking GED.
And it goes again, if you show that you're, I would say appreciating, but if you empathize with some of these folks, you're not going to have the issues of them bringing in drugs and having ODs and whatever else. They're gonna appreciate the fact that you're trying to help them go for their next chapter in life.
Because it's not about
Us and them.
It changed, right? And that was one of the biggest changes. So when I was in college, I did criminal law, and my instructor was a guy named Paul Corbin, who used to be the director of the Highway Patrol. And this was back when, and he warned us all the time. He was like, listen, there's this movement in law enforcement to create the us and them mentality. He goes, we're not in Vietnam.
Right.
This isn't an us and them. He goes, it's all us. But once you start to view it that way, it changes your interactions. And he's like, the truth is, not every single person you meet is out to kill you.
Right.
You need to understand that.
Well,
And it changes the dynamic of how you start to view things. And in turn, it makes people start to trust you.
and that touches on what you mentioned earlier about your community. How do you change that black eye image of law enforcement? It's the same concept. I mean, law enforcement in itself of late have a black eye because they've been targeted, right? And so there's an image there that they're a little bit more reserved. They're less engaging with the populace. We have to figure out. Not everybody's out to get us, right? So we have to figure out how to break that mold a little bit. I mean, I want our guys to come home at night, but they got to figure out how to do it better.
One of the questions, and I'm going to preface this next question with a question, because one of the things that we always ask candidates every year when we do these things, whether it's in August, April, or in November, is, are you a socialist?
I love this question.
I'm going to preface, and I told you, I'm prefacing this next question with this question. Are you a socialist, or are you a Democrat running as a Republican, or are you a conservative individual? I don't understand why you have to think about it. It's not a trick question.
It's not a trick question.
You're worrying me that you're thinking about
No, I'm not thinking. I'm just trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing here. But I am a Republican. And a socialist. I'm definitely not a socialist.
it. All right, great. There's a reason I asked this, because this next question is regarding the Second Amendment.
Okay.
Are you familiar with SAPA, the Second Amendment Protection Act?
Somewhat.
Okay.
You want to elaborate?
This question goes with that.
Okay.
What would you do as a sheriff in your department if the feds tried to come in and take firearms from people?
So this has have to do with the, what's it called, the red law or something like that?
So, all right, let
please.
me give the short version. So, SAPA was a Second Amendment Preservation Act, passed by the Missouri House and Senate, and then a federal judge got in and got involved in it.
When was this, recently?
It was about 3 years ago they actually passed it. And what it was is that Missouri would not recognize any unconstitutional further gun laws that came out of D.C., period, because there were already enough. The side that now flips into it is you have the issue like what you have in Illinois, which is going on right now, where Governor Pritzker determined that you could no longer possess, quote, assault weapons, even though they're not.
Right.
And a lot of these sheriffs in Illinois have said, we're not enforcing this. We're not going to go out. We're not having people come register these. Nothing. We want nothing to do with this. Because despite the fact the Illinois Supreme Court said it was constitutional, the sheriffs are saying absolutely it is not.
Right.
So to turn the question further, if tomorrow, or if you're elected sheriff and somebody randomly executive orders the banning of semi-automatic weapons to be turned into the sheriff's departments or to be collected, what is your take?
Well, I think that's silly. I think you pick your battles, and I don't think that's the one that we're going to.
I don't think that's one anybody would want to pick.
No, right.
No.
Someone's asked me that on Facebook as well. I'm not there to take our Second Amendment rights. There's interpretations all out there. I think we do need to do a better job on who gets or monitoring those that are getting weapons at times. But I don't think I'm not going to be getting a posse up to retrieve assault rifles or whatever else.
You're not going to join in it?
No.
Would you stand
between? My own.
Would you stand between the feds and the people?
Yes. Yeah.
That's an important question, I think.
Yep.
Okay.
Very nice.
Okay.
Socialist.
Okay, so we asked a guy one time, and it was simply to break the tension. I was doing a roundtable interview with multiple candidates. So I could tell it was getting tense. So I'm like, well, let me ask you the next question. Are you a socialist? And the first guy, he's like, absolutely not. The second guy comes off with this, he's mad.
Are you just trying to start something? And and I was going, holy cow.
And I'm like, that wasn't... I didn't actually think you were a socialist until now.
And then to top it off, during that same interview, they were both asked, do you think it's important in a nonpartisan office election, do you think it's important for people to know which side of the aisle you stand on? And one guy says, absolutely, without a doubt. And the other guys were like, well, I don't see where it has any relevance. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like, okay, Democrat. So that's why these questions are funny to us. We enjoy enjoy people's reaction to them. Yours was a little...
I mean, you didn't look like a socialist.
After
I don't even know how to spell socialist.
You and I are going to have to go get a cup of coffee and some biscuits and gravy and discuss that reaction. No, it took you off guard. I get it. I get it. You're like going, trick question. Is he setting me up? I don't understand.
I haven't drank my coffee yet today, so I was...
Oh, okay. All right. Oh,
that's funny.
Fun questions today. That's great. That's awesome. I like that. Now, something a little disturbing. It's no secret who your sister is. It's not a secret.
Nope.
You haven't hid it. You haven't tried to hide it. You haven't done anything to distance. Right?
Why should I?
You're good, right?
I'm good.
We were sent a copy of a response that you had back when
In 2018.
when Leo was running for office or running for re-election. Mm-hmm. And some people found it pretty disturbing, and I would like your response to it.
Okay.
And I don't know what led up to it, because of course all I get is a snippet, right?
Sure.
So I don't know what led
That's
up
what
to
they're
it.
good at. Yeah.
I don't know what happened after it. But I have to question the response myself. And it was this. When in doubt, at least educate yourself before the election, and if you truly give a damn on what really matters, vote for Leah. Okay, that's fine. That's your candidate, your sister. I get it. Those of you that continue to keep your head in the sand, or worse off, continue to slander my family, karma is coming. And who knows, someday I may get to introduce it to a few of you. That's the part that's disturbing.
Semper Fidelis.
Okay. Yeah, that's not disturbing at all. I'm fine with that. It's the...
So
who knows,
so
someday I may get to introduce it to a few of
So
you.
hindsight being what it is, that probably wasn't the smartest way of my approach, right?
Okay.
That email, if that Facebook post, if you read the rest of it, it talked about the justice system and how the process of the investigation went, who's responsible for what, because it was constantly just targeting my sister the whole time. And then my family also got involved with that. So when I wrote that karma piece, that was primarily for two individuals that was part of that.
Okay.
It wasn't for everybody in Lincoln County.
Like I said, I don't know what led up to this.
I know. I'm letting you know who it is.
Yeah.
So Chris Askey and Roma Budemeyer were those two people that were in there. The karma that I was talking about is I was hoping to be able to come back home to Lincoln County so I could serve them papers. It wasn't I'm going to barroom brawl or go to Chihuahuas and get drunk. It was mainly just to serve them papers. Coincidentally, they got served papers, and they all had to go into a defamation case, and they both lost. So that was the karma piece. But
Okay.
clearly that has been one that's been brought up multiple times by multiple people.
Okay,
So
it was sent. I had to
no,
ask.
no,
I'm going to be honest, dude. As you said, you owned it, and you explained it.
no, it's we've been owning it for a while. I mean,
I'm sure.
my mother gets slandered all the time. She's 74 years old.
What does
But-
mom have to do with it?
Nothing.
Exactly.
What does that have to do with my run of against?
Right.
Really, at the end of the day.
So,
I mean,
okay.
I just recently got asked whether I was part of that investigation, so I wasn't even here.
You're like, I wasn't even in the
No.
country. Come on, dude.
I guess somewhere during the conversation that was happening that led up to that, something about serving or something about Bill Clinton and serving.
Yeah.
But you-
One of them said I was out. I was one of Clinton's goons. Again, you got to take some of that stuff with a grain of salt, right? And
Was
I
he
let-
fun? Was Clinton fun to party with?
Bill? Yeah, he wasn't. Honestly, he wasn't bad. Honestly, now
You know what?
He
Bill,
was
to me, see, I'm not I don't like Democrats, period. But here's the thing about Bill Clinton that got me.
the cigar smoking or the
No. Just well, hey, she wasn't bad looking. Come on, but no, it's not that. It's just Bill to me is somebody that I could sit next to at a bar and drink a beer and have a good time and talk to. You know what I'm saying? He
Yep.
just was so personable for a Democrat.
Interesting enough, Biden was the same way years ago. I covered Biden when he came out to Afghanistan in 2002, January. And he would have been the same kind of guy.
Was he?
Then, but not now.
I'm not sure about. I don't know that I'd want to hang out with Bill in the back room or anything.
No,
but,
no. Or that island with, what's his name?
Yeah, I'm not
good on that one, but
Yeah.
Hillary, not so much. I covered her in Yemen years ago.
Question
she's
asked.
not friendly.
Question asked. You were stationed in Geneva.
Yeah, years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, years ago. Do you have any affiliations with the WEF?
Ooh.
World Economic Forum. I don't even know why that question's even asked.
I played rugby in Geneva.
You played rugby in Geneva?
Not a member of the World Economic Forum, I'm
God.
guessing.
I don't understand. This is. Let's. I'm going to throw in this world domination national questions
Geneva's
for a
beautiful,
Lincoln
by the
County
way. If you ever
sheriff.
get a chance, it's one of the prettier countries I've been in. Lord.
God love you. I know who that is, and she's amazingly awesome person. But yeah, that was off the wall. I thought it was funny. Sorry.
I had a friend that played rugby that worked for the WWF, World
Nuh-uh.
Wildlife.
Oh, the fake WWF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lord.
It's fantastic.
So no ties to the Economic Forum.
Not that I know of. No.
Not that you know of. You sure you didn't sleep with a spy or
Not that I know of.
have secret dealings with a foreign entity?
This could be my favorite interview of the year.
I'm just trying to cover all the bases here with the
All
World
right,
Economic
well,
Forum.
fire away. I mean, that's what
What,
I have thick skin, broad shoulders.
So when you were what position were you in when you were in Geneva? Were you
So I was a Marine security guard then.
Marine security? Okay.
So we provide the security for the embassies.
So you hung out with world leaders a lot. Then, huh?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I
Like in
did
back
meet
rooms
Madeleine Albright at the time. She was a UN ambassador, and who was the Secretary of State at the time? Can't think of his name now. Passed away, but yeah.
Wow, Madeleine Albright. I haven't thought of that in a long time.
I tell you what, I covered her. So on the State Department, I was her bodyguard. Her and Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice, Pompeo. But anyway, she was spunky. So Secretary Albright was spunky. She, I mean, she was impressive actually.
Good old Straddling Madeline. Is that what they called her?
Straddling Madeline.
Madeleine Albright. Man, I haven't.
I see. Phil sitting there in Canada on camera. We'll get to you shortly.
We'll get to you,
buddy.
Phil. Don't
Hang
worry.
on. So y'all gotta let me know
He's
what you're
got a
doing.
gallon of more coffee to drink today.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually have to go to a funeral. So,
Ugh.
So here we go. Here, let's go with a non-political. How about this? Coolest place you ever were?
Coolest place?
Like if there was somewhere in your head that you're like, I would go back there.
Honestly, I could go a lot of places I was at. I was in Madrid, Spain. I happened to be there when the train bombings took place, but that was one of the cooler places. We covered, the embassy in Madrid covered all of Spain, of course, so we had consulates in all the different regions, and so that was fun. Different time, different place, though. I had ex-wife then, and but I'll tell you, some of the better posts that I worked at were places I wouldn't want to go back. Like Pakistan was one of my favorite tours. I worked in Lahore, Pakistan for a year by myself. So from a security standpoint and law enforcement perspective, but you got to work with all your local counterparts there, and so you had to really build those bridges. And you couldn't have that image of the ugly American because you relied on all these Pakistanis. And I have very good friends there now, and some of which have come home now or come back to the States and are now immigrants.
Cool.
Baghdad was great. We had a great tour there, but in Baghdad, I had 30 teams of, you've heard of Blackwater, Dying Corps, Triple Canopy. So 450 some odd guys under my regime, if you will, or leadership. And we did some outstanding things, and every one of us came home. And but I wouldn't want to go back. I wouldn't.
Fair.
Afghanistan, same thing. Well, that was another taxing area, but
All right.
I was in Barbados. That was
Nice.
3 years from Barbados. It was a nice assignment.
Well,
And I'd go back there. I've been back to Barbados, but kind of pricey. But
so as you're, obviously, as we're winding down and wrapping up, what do you got for people that are still on the fence? Why should they vote for you?
I guess in general, I'm here because I want to be here, right? And we all want to be here, I guess. But I had all kinds of different options, and I chose to come back to Lincoln County. It was a promise I told my grandfather years ago that I was on a run for sheriff. Then I promised him I was going to be the sheriff. I don't remember, but I was on a run for sheriff someday. He was a commissioner for 30 some odd years.
Yeah.
But I'm a people person. I like serving people. I like moving the ball up the field. I like protecting people, saving people, just like I do with my family. It's just been in my blood for years, and I work for corporate America right now. I work for Clayco, which is a great job and great pay. To get this sheriff's job, I'll be getting a reduction in pay. We talked about money right now, so that's not probably one of the brightest things I've ever done, but I want to do it. I mean, it's a passion of mine to give back. I've served the country for 30 years. I'm ready to serve the county, and
That's fair.
and law enforcement is what it is. And it's not rocket science. If it was, I wouldn't be here. But it's definitely team, right? And it's
Right.
it's an extension of what I got in the Marine Corps years ago, and I've always just been part of the band of brothers, right? And I think we need to do a better job solidifying what that looks like, and being from the county here, Lincoln County, I think we're missing the mark on a few things, and I think we could do things a lot better, prepare ourselves for the future, and focus on the goods and not always the bads. That's if anything I've taken away from this silly political thing is just the negativity just festers, and I don't understand how people can just sit behind their desk and be that ill-willed about things.
So angry.
Yeah, about nothing, and I think it's
Right.
telling because clearly they're not happy, and I hate to think they're not happy with what I am. We talked about this last time, but when I first started this race, I was shocked to see that there was a couple of these Lincoln deputies pages that are anonymous and this stuff pilfering, and initially I'm like, how in the world as a sheriff, and I don't want to foreshadow, but if I get elected and I have some of my guys doing that, I'll feel I'm missing the mark as a sheriff, as a leader. That should be telling that you have people that are willing to go on a mutiny really against you because you're not doing something right. I mean, I go back to the transparency piece. I think you have to there's a disconnect. If you have a disconnect between your troops that you're putting out there on the front lines every day, then you're doing something wrong. And that would impact me hugely. So I got to figure out a way to remove that concept of law enforcement here in Lincoln County and build that bridge.
It's easy to know what you're going to do when you're looking from the outside going in, but you really don't know until you get inside and see the inner workings and what's really going on.
I know.
To come up with a solution.
Yeah. So through my career in State Department, DS, we never had I wasn't fortunate to bring my own team in anywhere. So you just show up in a place and you got what you got. And sometimes you might hear a little bit before you got there, but you had to go in there, and a buddy of mine, one of my mentors said, you go in there with your eyes open, ears open, mouth shut, and kind of get an assessment of what's going on first. You don't want to come in there with a big bat and start swinging around. You have to get feedback. You got to figure out what your problem sets look like before you address them. And more times than not, I think you get leaders come in there and they'll say, oh, we're going to make a change just for the fact of making a change, and I think that's
right. Where you end up destroying a great team that's already there,
right,
instead of ending up with a bad team and then making it good.
Yep.
So fair enough. Very good, Bill. I really appreciate having you on today.
Yep.
It's definitely been fun. Thanks. It's good to meet you, man.
Good to meet you. Yeah.
But definitely.
If you're ever in Chihuahuas,
Yeah.
Right. Just let me know when you and your parents are going to be there.
That's right.
I'll come
I'll
party
make sure I
with you,
bring
man.
mom
It'll be amazing.
All right.
There you go, guys. Thank you so much. This is Bill Womack. You can go check him out. Go watch the Just the Facts episode. It is up on the Traveling East Productions Rumble channel. You can check it out. Go watch that full interview. Get some more information, or reach out to him if you want.
Reach out to me. I'm accessible. You can call me at my cell phone. You can go on my my Facebook page. I am me or whatever. I'm not a big techie, but I'll respond. I promise.
There you go. Bill, thank you so much for being on with us.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Good to go?
Yeah, you're good.
All right. There we go. Bill Womack, candidate for Lincoln County Sheriff. Thank you, Bill. You can see him, his Facebook page, I think for that is Bill Womack for Lincoln County Sheriff or something like that, I believe. I don't know the actual, but it's something like that. If you type that in, you'll find it. Wow, that was a nice little pop from the can there.
That interview brought to you by Monster.
Only on weekends. All right. Disregard. Okay. All right, there you have it. What else we got here? I think that's about it. I think. Real quick, if you want to cover a sponsor or two, and then we'll go talk to our buddy up north.
Yeah, so sometimes, you look around your house and you realize, man, I seriously need to fix this house. And one of the best ways you can do that is to get yourself some new flooring. You think about changing different things in your house, but you don't often think about the flooring. Sometimes the flooring is all you need. And the best way to do that is to reach out to Elliott Flooring in Troy. They're at 406 South Lincoln Drive in Troy, and they are the best in the business. They do floors, they do countertops, they do backsplashes, and they will make your house look absolutely amazing. So go check them out, Elliott Flooring. Give them a call, 528-6334. They are there on Saturdays till 2, normal business hours Monday through Friday. And if you work weird schedules, remember they're always happy to meet you when you are available. So check them out. Definitely.
Yeah. What he said.
What I said.
Yeah, what he said. And that being said, what he said, that I said that he said, we're going to find out what he says up there in the he say. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up now. Hey, Phil, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Fantastic. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Some interesting stuff that's happened the last couple of weeks. Sorry I missed last week. I guess I didn't feed the gerbils in the computer, so they're fed now.
Okay.
Was it last week I was going to talk about Trudeau in the States with the NATO and all that, and it's just he doesn't even care about the NATO. was it they were telling him about putting in this 2% or whatever it is and not getting up to payment, and he says, oh, we're working on that, and then he turns around and then he decides to give Zelensky $500 million when he should be putting that money towards helping with NATO.
Should be giving that money back to the people. Screw NATO.
Yeah. Well, that's true too. But
I'm not even sure how Canada's a freaking NATO member.
It doesn't make sense either. But
yeah, but with Trudeau, he doesn't give a damn about anybody at all. World leaders except for Zelensky. What reminds me of the bromance between Zelensky and Trudeau is, I don't want to name names because it might violate certain media things, but if you go back to World War II, their bromance and friendship remind me quite a bit of a certain leader in Italy and a certain leader in Germany.
Huh. That's an interesting take.
Yeah. Because it's just like they're so buddy, and like, why doesn't Trudeau just move to Ukraine and help fight the Russians? He's saying that the Russians are big enemies and that.
because Trudeau couldn't live without his Tim Hortons and fancy meals and
Oh, doesn't he import
three-piece
Cuban?
suits.
Doesn't he import Cuban coffee?
does he import Cuban coffee?
I don't
possible.
know. I think so. I think his cocaine comes from there.
Really? Because we get ours from the White House.
Oh, boom.
What else you got going on?
What else is going on is, was it last week there when after the attempt on Trump, Pierre Poilievre, who's the opposition leader of our government, the PC, he put out a statement about an hour, not even an hour after it happened, for Trump to, show his support and my sympathies and all that. It wasn't until like almost 2 hours before Trudeau put out a statement, and he put it on X, and it was a genetic sort of statement. Poilievre did like a press conference, and I honestly hope that, even though it's lesser of both evils, is that Poilievre gets in, because I can see Poilievre, and if Trump gets in, working closely with the states and Trump and all that.
Okay.
And the other thing that's going on now is Trudeau's looking at looking to tax equity of your home now. So it's another tax
What?
he's trying. Yeah, there's rumors that he's looking at charging an equity tax on people's homes, because he's saying is that a lot of people our age or older are holding on to the homes, and then
So he wants to tax unrealized wealth.
Well, and not
Yeah.
just that, but isn't that the same as we're going to levy a tax on your piggy bank?
know,
Basically, yes.
And here's the thing, though. We already pay enough property taxes for a year.
Wow.
Like here in Ontario, you're averaging anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a year for property tax.
I'm not surprised.
You
Doesn't
know?
surprise me at all.
No. And then Trudeau came out and said that a lot of these older people who are in retirement, that they live in big houses, they should sell them so to give the opportunity of the younger generation to own a home.
No.
Boy.
Yeah, I know, right? Because a lot of these people who are grandparents and that, they used, they love the home. They've been in that home for like 50 years. And then, you want a nice size home to keep the home for when your family, grandkids and all that come over and all that. And like, it's ridiculous, like what he's trying to do. And also what's just came out this week is apparently it's starting in Ontario, is there's a company who owns senior living buildings and all that. Um, Clearstone or something like that. I don't know quite what the name is, but they're now going around at some of the buildings that they own, these seniors places, and they're evicting the senior citizens that live in them, that's been living in them for like 10 years or so. They want to clear them out so that they can fix them up apartments for new immigrants.
Cool.
And
Better
like
better there than here.
Yeah, like I understand, I understand new immigrants, but what about the Canadians that live here? They're the ones, they need homes too, and they're just, it's unbelievable what's going on here. But apparently, I haven't heard anything more yet, though. But yesterday, Trudeau decided he's going to do a cabinet shuffle, so some of the people are going to be losing their position in the government as like finance minister or other minister jobs. And rumor is that there's going to be a few of them that if they get let go in those positions, they're just going to leave the party. So it's starting to be where it is going to be. I think we are going to have an earlier election because the Liberal Party members are getting really fed up though with all the bull crap that's going on and that.
So what was the Canadian?
It's like the B team, anyways, B or C team of the Secret Service, and it was mostly Homeland Security officers, but not like true Secret Service.
Yeah, they were mostly investigators.
Yeah.
Department of Homeland Security investigators.
And like everyone kept on saying, how in the heck can they miss a building that's in direct line sight of Trump and not put security there? And then especially when people in the crowd were pointing up to, letting the police know, letting the Secret Service know, there's a shooter on the roof, there's a shooter on the roof. And like from what I've heard too is that, of course, the FBI is investigating. Of course, a lot of it's going to be covered up or evidence destroyed or whatever. But they interviewed the sniper that shot the shooter, and then what came out apparently, I don't know how true it is that he had the shooter in his sight for a long time, and apparently he was told to stand down, and of course he took the shot, and then after he was investigated, he was fired.
That is definitely a story that is going out there.
I want to bring up, and we'll take Phil with us to the end.
Yeah.
Go on, Phil. We're going to the end, buddy. Draw your sword.
We're going to take you all the way to the end with us. I want to bring up the term or the words Nessun Dorma. Do you know the significance of this?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Okay. The sum of all fears.
Mm-hmm.
This is did you watch anything? Did you see anything from the Republican National Convention?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
Did you see the end of it? How it ended?
No, I saw.
Okay.
Was it Trump's speech though?
Trump is very well known for Trump likes to control the music. If you're in the car with him, he gets to control the music. On Air Force One, he controlled the playlist, what would play. If you're on the golf course, he controls the music. He likes to be the DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we see during the convention, we see people performing like Kid Rock and stuff. He ends the convention with this song, an opera, which is completely off the chain for how this is to end, or his type of music or anybody else's, Nessun Dorma, The Sum of All Fears, is an opera that is about a leader who there's been an attempt to assassinate, basically. In the process, afterwards, this person finds out who was behind it. Mm-hmm. Somehow he finds out who was actually behind it, and in the end, he takes them out. Which is very, very interesting to have played this at the end of the RNC. You're with me on this. You understand where I'm going.
If you ever watch the film, Tom Clancy's The Sum of All Fears,
mm-hmm.
at the end of the film, this song plays as both Russian intelligence and the American CIA are going and taking out everybody that was involved in this whole deep state setup, because there were senators involved, there were members of the Russian parliament involved, and this song plays through the entire ending. There's cars exploding, all kinds of crazy stuff going on.
I forgot to mention the movie. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And that is what ties it together, because it is a film from over 20 years ago. The entire thing was a twofold deep state plot between the Russian deep state and the American deep state to try to push Russia and the U.S. into a nuclear war. And the two figure it out.
And this is so poetic to have played this at the end, because that tells me he knows. And this will be now how it's handled could be different. I'm sure it could be people going to prison, could be whatever it is, but in the end, he's telling us that in the end, I got this. So it's going to be very interesting to see. And with that, you also have Joe Biden, who is in this last week said basically has been let out that he could drop out of the race, or drop his candidacy probably by tomorrow.
Yeah.
But
it's
also
kind of convenient he's got COVID. Eh?
Right. So, but that's not the point of this.
Yeah.
The point of this is the Democratic National Convention is calling for a virtual roll call. Now, this virtual roll call is to nominate for their nomination of who they want to run on the Democrat ticket. But here's what's really funny about the timing. One, you have a lot of the DNC, well, not of the DNC, but a lot in the Democrat Party. The reason they want to do this is so that these senators and those who want Biden to drop out because they know he can't beat Trump. They want him to drop out so they can get somebody who's got some power behind him. And if they have a virtual roll call, they can't stand up during and voice their opinions. If they do it the normal way and actually meet, then they have the opportunity for opposition and make the Democrat Party look weak. If they do the virtual, this is not happening, and you'll get the nomination. It's a done deal. Now he still has to accept it in person at the committee, at the DNC, at the convention. I mean, but this prevents dirtying of their face, basically. Where are you at on this?
Well, the idea is, I think Biden will drop out in the next 48 hours, and not endorse Kamala Harris.
Yes.
If he doesn't endorse her, that means they have an open primary.
Correct.
And they can basically put anybody they want to up to run for that seat. Now, there was another big thing that took place this week outside of this. So yesterday you had this giant computer thing hit
Yes.
worldwide, right?
Yeah.
But it also, in Arizona yesterday, they were having some elections.
How convenient.
And their election machines weren't able to work. Here's the catch, though. Everyone was ensured that those election machines have no internet connectivity,
I was going to say that.
which means they shouldn't be affected by any variety
Correct.
of malicious or damaged code at all.
Correct.
But since they all had problems, now the cat's out of the bag. Secretary of State of Arizona is losing their mind
Yeah.
over this whole thing because all these machines suddenly ended up
That's
jacking
right.
up yesterday.
If you're not hooked up to the network, hook up to the internet, that should have had no bearing on it whatsoever.
And sure enough, all the machines went down, which means they are backdoor connected. So get ready. They're planning
So
on
guess
another
what?
steal.
Another conspiracy theory proved.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I honestly feel that they should keep an eye on, a very close eye on the November 5th election, because they're going to try and steal the election again.
No doubt in my mind whatsoever.
But you know what? It's going this time. I think a lot. If Trump loses,
yeah,
a lot of people are going to be crying. Treat, because there's no way that he should, because the support that he's getting, like especially my favorite picture out of that day is that it's going to probably be in Time magazine, is the picture of him standing up with his fist in the air and the American flag in the background after he got shot. That's an amazing,
it's iconic. It's a strong image.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's...
and his speech, the speech that Trump did was an amazing speech.
I do want to say this though, regarding the national convention. I in no way ever needed to see Hulk Hogan on the stage for the Republican National Convention doing a wrestling promo. That was the most idiotic, ridiculous, stupid thing. I don't like Hulk Hogan on my screen, period. I don't like it when he returns to WWE for anything, much less seeing him there. I did not need that.
No. Like all the other speeches, the granddaughter, the sons, like Dana White,
Dana.
Tucker Carlson, those were all great speeches.
Yeah. Have you seen, do you watch golf in any way? Are you a fan of golf?
Not really,
Are you, you're
nothing
not,
else
I know.
on.
I've seen videos lately they started showing videos of the granddaughter Kai playing golf. She's a badass.
Yeah.
Like, she's legitimately at her age is playing professional golf. Like, literally, she's something.
She was very cool.
And very personable, very charming. Here's what she did that I thought was really good. In that was she humanized him.
Yeah.
Like this, just my grandpa, man. Like, we talk and text on the phone. It's just not like I get how you guys see him, but to me, he's just grandpa. He does this. He sneaks us candy and soda when our parents are. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just a dude, and I thought that was pretty cool. That was smart. That was smart.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Phil, last
Yes.
words. Tell everybody where they can get your stuffage.
Absolutely. You can find me on Facebook at Original Crow Feather Healing Crystal Jewelry. I have pictures and videos on there. You can also find me on Instagram at Chief Crow Feather, and I have the same pictures and videos on there. If you see anything you like or anything you would like me to make, please reach out and contact me, and we'll work it out for you. And you can also find me down where you guys are at Country State Design and also at Common Ground Coffee.
Boom. Very
Thank
good.
you, Phil. We appreciate it.
right,
Last
guys.
words.
All right.
Last words from you,
Time
sir.
to go sell some guns. Come down and come see me. Black Flag Outfitters, 203 Main Street in Winfield. We're going to be selling guns and bow fishing gear. Water's flooded. Come join us. It's going to be fun. We're going to drink lots of coffee, and you should be there.
I would agree.
At that, have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you to everybody for tuning in, watching us, and, of course, for our guests for coming. We appreciate each of you.
I'm CT. He is Da. This has been Morning Java. Stay awake, not woke, and we'll see you next week.